Hey guys, Dutchy here, giving you some more Stormgate action. We have got another game here from the Aureil Circuit. This time we've got Wallace versus playWeird. Wallace is in the bottom left here on Sector 9 as Celestial. And in the top right, we've got playWeird as Infernal. I wouldn't say looking weird already, but he does have some production coming out very early. He's got the Vault, and he's just staying on Luminite here. So probably just going to be, my guess is, single Brute into an expansion and maybe even a quick third. I've seen this before. You get this early scout, you get some information, look at this, but then you react with, if you see your opponent went fast base, you react with your own double economy. And if you see that they went into production, you're probably okay with the fact that you have your own production. So it gives you options. Alright, so we do see the shrine, so it's not a 2 vault or anything like that, just single vault. We've got Wallace here with a proxy chamber and Gracelite turning into Energizer node so he can charge up his Argents. I wonder if this is his little triple Argent opener into macro that, you know, is a good opener, but I think it's like, what scares me about that opener is if your opponent goes like double or triple vault, man, do you just lose? Do you just lose? I mean, maybe not, maybe there's a reaction, but I'd have to learn it, and alright. Keeping the energy off, so he's saving his energy shots. There's one Brute. Let's see. Okay, so that can only split into one Fiend now. So let's see. Maybe those wanted to be, you know, I think 4 Fiends, but now they are not going to be. So waiting for his Conclave. So he does get that. Ooh, Wallace stepping forward, gets one of the Gaunts. These Brutes are getting some shots off on these Argent, which is never good because eventually they get low enough where you do die, and Wallace can't be sure about this. I mean, there won't be curse yet, no way, but yeah, you know, you're playing with fire here, but this is how it goes, right? So Wallace is just doing what he can to get as much value from these 3 Argents, while he's got his macro going at home. We can see it on the mini-map, and I'll go to it in a minute, but this is where the building has a lot of finesse, because you got to get as much as you can out of that without losing anything. So Wallace not doing a tremendous amount of damage, but what it does do is it keeps the Infernal on 2 bases. They probably are more likely to make a mistake. I bet this Ritual Chamber, excuse me, wanted to be a little earlier, but it's not. So you know, there won't be any curse for that first Stormgate fight. Some of these are low. Yes, they heal on Shroud when they're out of combat, but it's not much. So and then there's a healing node here. They get these Argents all the way back to full health. Meanwhile, 4 chambers and everything on the map was sold, right, and brought back here. Triple arc ship behind that pressure. What is the unit comms? Just more Argent. Okay. Wallace going a bit more the old school style.
Enemy forces have begun to secure a Stormgate.
Maybe a little bit of like Necrolite style. Right? Okay, boom, boom, boom. Got up to 12, and then just starts going on the gas. No earlier on gas. He really gets all 12 on that. And then he gets the Guardian Nexus. Oh, I wasn't watching. So, playWeird does get the first Stormgate. There is a Fair in here to heal up. Wallace, these Argents aren't going to do much. No way. So, Argents... Okay, but then he's got more that show up. And there... I mean, is that... let me check. Curse still not done, but at the same time, Wallace, at this point, it's 4 minutes in the game, and Wallace has to assume that if Curse isn't ready yet, that it is just about to be, right? You just have to with the timing. You can't run into a bad fight versus maybe them having, like, I think they can have it as soon as, like, off of 2 base, it's like 3.5 minutes, give or take. So if it's 1 base, it can be even a little sooner, technically. And so when it's 4 minutes in the game, you just have to go, okay, it's probably about to be ready. Unless you see 0 Gaunts or something like that, but that's obviously not the case. Okay, collection array going down here right as the Infernal shows up. So Wallace has to just back up. That's probably going to die, but it doesn't really matter. So Wallace going into a fight here. So now Curse is ready. You can see the little red on the units here. Okay, going back in. The Wallace does have a huge army, but that is a lot of brutes, and with Farron it's tricky. You definitely want to be careful. And, you know, I don't see rollout. I just saw Heaven Step finish. So, and we're starting to, for a second I thought that was a Hexen. I was going to say, if there's Hexen here, then Wallace is actually in trouble. But it's just Brute Gaunt, and Wallace has about a 15 supply lead. Now remember, Wallace grabbed that kind of early third behind, well, it was a delayed third, but he grabbed a quick second and third, like, back-to-back. Meanwhile, playWeird has grabbed the third here, and it's got 6 workers on it, 8 here, adding on to production, so going from 1-1 to, what is this, 2 vaults, so going from 1-1 to 3-2, and then Ritual Chamber, let's see, okay, so tier 2 on the way. I would have wanted to see that a little sooner, but at the same time, with everything that was going on, playWeird actually handled the Argents pretty well, and I just think there was maybe an opportunity for either a little bit more tech, or the third was okay, all things considered. But yeah, I think tier 2 gives Infernal so many options that, yeah, it's good to get. And it's also like the quicker you get to tier 3, the quicker your Dragon and Incarnate cooldown charges start going, you know? So it's just, even if you don't even have to have the money for it, but if you can just get to tier 3 as Infernal and get that going, that alone will just like boost your MMR. I swear to God. Okay. Alright, so big battle going on at the Stormgate here. Wallace has his upgrades this time, and it's still just Brute Gaunts. I would have loved to see some Hellborn. Speaking of Hellborn, there it is. But I really wish a little bit more, and then maybe even a Magmadon. But remember that tier 2 means the Blood Tree wasn't out yet, so there was no way there was going to be Magmadon. I should check. He does have the charge, and he does have his Gaunt upgrade. So these are upgraded Brutes and Gaunts, but and see, there they go, charge. So there go the charges on that. It's tricky. I think what breaks the tie here is Curse. Curse is a problem for Wallace here. Okay. So Kree getting hit. These Gaunts starting to step back from the Kree. So see, the Kree go away. They just get eliminated. And Wallace has to back up. So like I said, it's in the end, it was just a tiebreaker with the Curse. So nicely done by playWeird to win the fight, despite being down on supply. But that does worry me. You know, Wallace made sure not to overcommit. So what's next from Wallace, right? And I'm seeing Sabers coming out. Sabers are very good versus Infernal. Weaver got 1 less range on their Lash a couple patches ago because they were a little too oppressive versus both Vanguard and Celestial. But it does mean that things like Sabers got a nice buff indirectly because that was their hardest counter. And still is probably one of Infernal's hardest counter to it. But, yeah. So I think Sabers are definitely a great choice versus Infernal as a Celestial. Some Carnivex, I was wondering about that. We hadn't seen many Carnivex, but now interesting. So Wallace went, he's going Saber and Animancer. Does he not? Well, okay, so but he's got tier 3, right? Because he's getting the tier 3 Argent and tier 3 Kree. So he's choosing to go for tier 3 Argent and Kree. But he's not very interested in Navi or Archangel, it seems. He's leaning more into the tier 3 upgrades and the tier 2.5 unit comp, which is really cool, actually. I like that. I think it's cool to see, like, Animances with Sabers. I think that's a very, like, for a ground army, it's really hard to fight into that. Okay, the Carnivex here getting caught a little bit out. There's a choke here that both players are trying to use against each other. I don't know. It is working. The choke is working. Half of Wallace army gets out. But then playWeird does step into the Dark Prophecy range from the Animancer and pays the price for that. So now Wallace is looking to push with about a 70 supply lead. So this is just looking solid for Wallace. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bases versus 4 bases. And tier 3 upgrades just starting for playWeird. I do wonder though, is there a dragon or anything? I don't know how long this has been done, so I can't tell on the cooldown. It doesn't tell you that they're going to tier 3 up on the tab. So unless I'm already clicked on the building, I just don't know. So if I didn't see it, I don't have any way of finding out. Hexen on the board, just 2 though. Miasma just now being researched. We've got the Brute tier 3 and the tier 3 upgrade for the Hellborn, which is a very potent combo. But the upgrades aren't ready yet. So Wallace takes the 3rd and easily most important Stormgate of the game thus far, and he gets the Stormcaller. So Wallace looking to push. Meanwhile, we've got playWeird saying, fine, I can't get the Stormgate, so I'm going to come over here and try to do some damage. I'm expecting this Archship to get lifted. There it goes. Taking all that damage and then just walking away. Oh, so frustrating. Over here, Kree getting a really nice surround, and a couple Kree here really taking the aggro of all these Hellborn. So Wallace had like 90% of his army fighting like 60 to 70% of his opponent's army, which is obviously going to hella favor the one with the higher percentage. And then the Kree are tier 3, so even the ones that died over here fighting, they did their tier 3 after death effect. So it's okay to suicide a couple like that if it creates that kind of scenario, right? And then you still get some value out of them anyway. The Hellborn don't really want to shoot at Kree. They want to be shooting at Argent and the Carnivets, right? Look at that. They just do great. So here we go. We got the dragon. Wallace dashing under it, catching the dragon off guard. What a snipe on that. That's going to make his life a lot easier because that dragon can really draw out the fight. And that's also one of those things that's just a feels bad moment, you know, for the Infernal for sure. Because they were definitely looking to lean on that, and they'd invested a lot into that. And it almost immediately died. So Wallace here with a really cool Animancer, Saber, Argent comp to push through at the end there with the Carnivex frontlining a lot of that fight, and the Kree. Good game, well played by both players. Let's go to the next game of this best of 3 series. Alright, we've got game 2 here of Wallace versus playWeird. This is in Grave of Hope, which was originally called Lost Hope, and it had a bunch of Therium in the middle. So instead it's been replaced with some different pathing around the map, but it's got 5 Stormgates in the middle, which does mean that one Stormgate heavily favors every player, and you can spawn in any of these 4 corners on this map. So it's a 4-player map. Now, I don't think this map is in the ladder pool. I think this map is only in tournaments. I don't believe it's ladder. I'm not even sure if it's in the rotation to be in ladder. I'm not saying it couldn't be. I just don't know. This is a very, very new map, but it's got a lot of it is based off of the old design. There used to be a back way in here that's been taken away and put on the high ground. Some of this is the same still. This is new to go here. So some cool changes to it, but a very, very similar original 3 bases. I think it's interesting, but it's also like, holy crap, this is a really easy 3-base map, which a lot of players will like, but it's got this back way to maneuver. I'm interested, man. I'm interested. I think it's cool. I love that some of these old maps have inspired the new maps. Anyway, or like a twist of them. Like this is just Lost Hope 2.0. Called Grave of Hope instead. Alright, so what do we got here? Wallace, he's got the Creation Chamber first, but he definitely, no, not first, he definitely went Archship first this game. And I think in this game, since it's a 4-player map and you don't know where your opponent's going to be, you can't just build Argents and run them across the map, because you could get unlucky and scout the last base, and then it's just an instant loss. Because by the time the Argents show up, then it's way too late and your opponent has units. So on this map, I think you got to do what Wallace did. The best move is to fast expand. Unless you're gambling. Unless you want to gamble. Let's see. We've got 2 chambers. So we did see a Brute split into 2 Fiends. One went here, One went here. So playWeird looking almost kills a prism, but doesn't quite. Now here comes that other fiend. Is it going to look to scoop up that prism kill? We'll see. It doesn't look like it. Looks like it's heading home. So we've got 2 Archship here and now 3 Chambers. So probably just a little ball of Argent for that first Stormgate fight. Now over here we've got playWeird. Let's see. Still on 2 bays as well. Okay. Ritual Chamber just started. Vault. Conclave. So just doing what looks to be a... I didn't look at the very beginning. I don't know if it was a Vault and then Expand, or Expand then Vault, but it was essentially a Expand 1-1 in some sort of order to that degree. My guess is Vault first because of when the Brutes went, but I'm not sure. So over here, looking to take his third at about 3 minutes 10 seconds. Probably going to see an Effigy. Seems he got there a little early. I've been there. Probably spent some money on an Imp afterwards and was like, ah, crap, I needed to save that for the Expand. There we go. Meanwhile, Wallace moving over to the Ethereum. Yep. So he's got 10 this time, or am I... No, it's got 12. I just needed to click on it. So he really likes to go 12, 12, and then start saturating gas, and then just dumping his Luminite into Argent. Makes sense, you know. Get your Luminite, collection really high off of that very quickly. Because you didn't have to put a single guy on gas, so you could just keep building prisms, keep building Argents, get that supply lead. Now what's interesting is, although there's this supply lead, I've seen many moments where, like, there's no curse yet, but if there was, like, that army would actually do pretty well versus these Argents using the ramp here. Because every time you'd poke, they'd all, like, the whole front line would get hit by curse, and then if your enemy backs off, they're still taking that curse damage. Now, there is this healing shrine. That's a really annoying healing shrine that players could definitely abuse on this map. Because the ramp protects you here, but then if you want to come fight at the healing shrine, you gotta come off the ramp. Oh, some of those Argents were just not attacking. So far so good on the hold. Curse is done. Let's see. See, like that. And that's what happens when you back off on the fights. The Creeping Horror will survive, though, I think. Man, that Fiend that popped from it almost killed it. That would have been pretty funny. So over here, Wallace is backing up. Gonna use the node, but I mean, I would actually maybe go sit in that, You got the healing from this. It's right there. Just sit in it, I would say. Over here, a little bit of an army built up for playWeird, looking to come around the backside here and do a little damage. What is that shadow? What am I seeing? Is it that's hilarious. That is a huge shadow. It's coming from that thing at the top of the screen. It's kind of dark, maybe. Might have to turn up your brightness. Thought it was like a banner, a big banner at first. Okay, so we've got 2 more vaults. So 3 vaults, and I'm counting 1, 2, 3 conclaves. Brew charge is almost done. The army's chilling here. Wallace just keeps staying ahead in these games on supply by such a large margin. Over here, I don't see Kree rollout, but this certainly can't be enough to run up that. Maybe. But Wallace using the SimCity as he backs up there. A lot of his Argents are really poorly choked out. So if there was enough units here, that could have been a real problem for Wallace. Because Wallace might have gotten stuck behind his own buildings trying to come and fight back. So, I don't know. I feel like playWeird could have done something there. But it's hard, he doesn't have the vision I have. Oh, god damn it. I do that sometimes instead of hitting the home button.
Dimensional rift detected. A Stormgate will activate soon.
So we got the Stormgate. Wallace sees it, because you get vision of this even before it's ready, and playWeird got his units there, so Wallace knows that. See, Wallace is looking. He's trying to be reactive here. Now, that was a very quick gate because it was the second one, and Wallace got the first one, so that means playWeird does more damage than Wallace will. It's a comeback mechanic, and just shredded that thing. Wallace barely even got outside of his base. So this is the Dark Throne, which is it's a fast base with 3 free workers. Look how fast that goes. God damn. And then those, you just have to make sure you move them. I really wish they would automatically go. Maybe something we can implement. Moving. What do we got here? So we have some Animancer tech. We've got the tier 3 Kree. Do we have the tier 3 Argent already? Not yet. I wonder if Wallace forgot to have a second creation chamber. So it just looks like he's surging this one. I'm going to do both upgrades through that instead. That makes sense. Again, Saber and Animancer together. Let's see. I wonder if he already has it queued up. The Argent upgrade to start right after. Kree being built. Don't see the Argent upgrade yet. There it is. What is that upgrade called? Let's click on an Argent and find out. Long shot module. That's right. I actually did know that, but I forgot it. And then Radiant Fury is the Kree tier 3. Right? So it improves the Blades of Light, which is their little after death. It improves it, increasing the damage done by 20 plus another 20 versus light, so 40 extra damage versus light, and allowing Kree to move when they take fatal damage. So if your Kree die, you can still move them on top of a pack of Argents or Gaunts or whatever it is you're trying to blow up, right? Here we go. Got the arc ship for the high ground, which lands a nice Dark Prophecy there. Okay, can Wallace get up this ramp? The arc ship getting the vision for him. Another Dark Prophecy. I like the arc ship for the high ground vision. That makes a lot of sense if you're trying to get those Dark Prophecies up there. I see one Animancer has energy left. Ooh, running into a Hexen Mine. One of the, what are they called? Phantom traps. Here we go. Now a bunch of these Krees are gonna die, but they've got their tier 3 after death. Look at see how they moved forward there? God, just look at them flying into their army even after they're dead. Look at that. Oh my god. This was a perfect example. That did so much damage. That's crazy. Tier 3 Kree, man, they are slept on. They are slept on. And that alone kind of wiped out the army. Dang, those Kree were crazy strong. So Wallace is patiently, working his way up the ramp here with the high ground vision on the arc ship, and then finally finding a good angle to jump. Had a big supply lead, right? And was just able to out-tech and push through. So very nice. I think it's interesting that Wallace stays on the tier 2.5 tech. No Archangel, no Navi, but just sticking with the Animancer and Saber, which is really cool. Maybe some Infernals will show us how to handle this style, because it does seem pretty deadly. So more games in their tournament tomorrow. Wallace made it through, and you'll see more games from him tomorrow.